I see it.
Okay, so I think we're good. So I'll just do a quick intro and then I'll pass it on to you. So welcome everybody. Thanks so much for coming. It's so exciting every time we get to meet on Thursdays. I don't know for all of you, but I actually really look forward to Thursdays now just to just being able to hang out with everybody, even though it's virtually, right? We're trying to make the best of everything and have some interaction. So we appreciate you jumping in and joining us tonight. So tonight for MISA, we have a very special guest. Obviously, it's always great when we have our company information sessions, and it's even better when we have new companies coming in because for some of you that have been a part of MISA for a while, we've had some of the same companies that consistently go in. So, and I always try my best to get some new ones in. So we're very fortunate to have the speaker tonight. He's actually an MIS alumni from FAU, which is even an extra plus. Obviously, we love having our FAU alums come back, and they can also, share in your pain of how classes were and how difficult things are to juggle everything. So we appreciate that. Um, so our speaker tonight has a lot of cool information to share with you. So he's got a really amazing background, humble beginning. He's got some really great stories, not just about himself, but also about how he started the company. And so we're really excited to have him. So can we give a nice, warm virtual round of applause from Eric Solms from Simplitfy?
Good evening, good afternoon, really. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the invitation. It's always good to go back to FAU. That's where I started, basically. It's a great school. I was an international student for a few years there and was able to make some great friendships and great relationships. And it gave me the ability to actually, from an internship, go to a work visa, from the work visa become a permanent resident, and from the permanent residence actually become a U.S. citizen. So um, the diversity of students and relationships that you're able to build, it's just an amazing opportunity. So thank you again for having me. Basically, my company is called Simplitfy. It stands for Simple IT for You. There's a T between the I and the F. We try to simplify IT. When I started the company, I really wanted to be a one word, and I didn't want to be Joe's PC's technology. I don't know if you guys ever done some research on IT companies, but they're all, you know, tech or PC technologies or, you know.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to be just one word. But anyways, let me start. So a little bit about me. I'm Ecuadorian. I was raised by a single mother. Very tough beginnings. She would travel a lot for work, and I was always by myself. I have a sister, and when I was 7 years old, she got married. It was really, really tough because she was going to leave me. So she left from Ecuador and she moved here to the States. Tough times. I was very insecure growing up. I was just 7, 8 years old. Ironically, I needed a role model in my life, and that role model became my brother in law, which was amazing because he gave me the opportunity to learn about what would be my career. I was able to follow his footsteps, and his footsteps basically in IT technology. Ironically, nowadays he works with me. He's one of our, he's basically the office manager, and he manages all the HR related activities. But ironically, the nice thing about it is that that insecure little kid is now has the ability to secure over 200 companies, all their information, and that insecure became a cybersecurity expert. So that's a good thing to say.
That's awesome.
Um, I will appreciate if anybody of you or just whoever can, just if you can tag me on Instagram or any of the social medias. My tagline is basically eSolms, or you can contact my company Simplify. I will truly appreciate it. The reason why I'm doing that, it's the lesson number one. I don't know if you notice it, but I'm going to share a lot because obviously you're learning MIS, you're learning technology, you're learning some of the business, but the key is that always try to get, in anything that you do, a class, a book, a lesson, a project, try to always learn and take like $1 million piece of advice from it. And this will be a good thing. If you notice, when I did my story, right, I connect with you because I'm ordinary. I'm just a kid raised by a single mother. That single mother was mother, father, best friend. So you see myself as ordinary. But then I switch it and I became extraordinary. And I'm telling you that I'm a cybersecurity expert and I'm an expert on what I do. And that makes me extraordinary. Right. And then the third thing would be of what you're trying to accomplish in your story is you request something, and you can call request or a goal or a CTA, which is just it's just a call to action, right? It's a marketing or sales technique or word. And I ask you if you can tag me. So the real reason is that it's just for that, right? My background, as I said, very humble, but always very hungry. Um, and my motivation, it's not money. It's basically all the things that surround that will eventually make me money. What I mean, like for example, if you ask me what my goal is for my company, it's to have 50 or 100 employees. Right, we're 8 employees right now, and we're turning six next month on October 22nd, and you know, humble but always hungry. That's another piece of advice from the education perspective. What I can say, it's basically always keep learning, always learn. You learn every single day, and just keep continue learning, continue innovating yourself, and learning new techniques, and not necessarily just like technology wise. Obviously, if you're in the technology, you always have to get certifications. You're always going to have to continue learning, but learn different things. Learn, as you can see, you always have to have you. Being a good tech has to do a lot with business principles. The perfect example is you can be the greatest tech, but if you don't have business principles, you will decide to restart a server, a production server at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you have 50 employees working. And that's a good tech, very technical, but doesn't see the business principles. And that's the difference of being a great tech and just a tech, right? So have that, have the ability to always learn sales. I used to hate sales. Now I love sales. And the way you see it is you're always selling. Jonathan, he's selling himself because teaching you this. I'm selling myself by trying to present my company and who I am. So you're always selling, always. Even it's just not the word that you're used to using, right? If you're trying to, date someone, you're selling yourself, right? You're trying to tell that other person that, hey, date me, right? So that understanding the psychology or HR, human resources profiling, it's also going to be very important for you to have a career, right? I wish I would have started. I wish I would have known that when I started, right, my career, understanding how to talk to somebody that's very direct and bossy, understanding how to talk to somebody that likes to listen but's quiet, understanding how to talk to somebody that's very analytical, right? My mindset's very analytical. When Jonathan asked me today how to do this presentation, my mind was just going step one, step two, step three, step four, and that's just my mindset. So understanding all those things and how to communicate with those kind of people will make a difference. There's a book called Taking Flight. It's about some birds. It's just a short story, but you can learn a lot about it. It shows you the disc profiling. So that's actually a good book to have. About my education, I did my bachelor's degree at obviously at FAU. Go Owls! It's actually fun to go to those games. I didn't have the chance or the opportunity to have the stadium back then. It's changed like so much over the last few years. I'm still very involved with FAU, so it's a great school. I love the growth. I love what they're doing for the community. Once you start being in business, you realize not only just it's not just the education part, but how much they help the community in so many different ways. From the entrepreneurship side, I became kind of like addicted to entrepreneurship. I'm part of four different companies. Obviously, this is the first one. This is kind of like my bread and butter. This is how I live every day. But I'm also part of other three companies. The first one's called First Class Coins. We do rare coins, so basically collectible items, rare coins that people collect. It's a very particular niche, but we do that. Um, fun stories. If you know any coins that are older than 1933, those are usually coins that you want to keep. Nativos. Growing up in Ecuador, we have this tradition of eating yogurt, frozen yogurt, with any kind of fruit, along with this little thing called yuca cheese bread. If there's any Brazilians, you guys call it pan de queijo. So it's delicious, and we're bringing that tradition here. We're actually now distributing and selling it to a local supermarket called Bravo, and we're working with other different supermarkets to try to get in. And My Libertà, which stands for freedom in Italian. That's basically like a food delivery service, kind of like Uber Eats and all these things. It's in development. I'm part of it. I'm not 100% sold, which is bad, but it's a great company and it's a great idea. And if you see the numbers related to the food industry, so the food delivery industry are just insane. So that's a little bit about me. Um, Somebody said Disc is a great tool. Yep, that's basically it. Disc. So some tips for success in business. Hopefully, I don't bore you with my things, but I'm telling you, this is like good stuff. Like this is like years, 15 years of experience in one PowerPoint slide. Good communication, that's key. Make sure your communication is clean and clear. Uh, Make sure you understand what you're when you're trying to communicate. It's going to help you in internally, externally, with your friends, with your clients, with your vendors. Make sure you do that. Work smart, not hard, but work hard until you get smart. Right? When I started my company, there were so many hours, and up until this day, every once in a while, I lose momentum. But then I start and I get refocused, and I do whatever it takes to get refocused, and that can be sometimes like during COVID. I had like a walking pneumonia, which wasn't clinically proven because the doctors couldn't see me because I didn't have a fever. I had every other symptom, but they didn't want to see me. So the doctor kind of like did a virtual telemed session and said, "Well, if you get COVID, you might die." So obviously, I stayed home for 3 or 4 months without going out at all. So I was like, but it was the best time. I was able to connect myself. I was able to read so many books. I was able to go. I've never worked out so much at home, but I did the best thing. I joined challenges online. I did everything possible to stay motivated, and I was working a lot of hours, but it was very productive, right? And eventually, I got burned out about 2 months ago, and I said, you know what? The work's always gonna be there. It's grown, it's done, it's. I have a great team. I'm just gonna step out for a minute and just enjoy life. So I've been enjoying life. I'm not married, so I started dating. I started hanging out with my friends a little bit and spending time with my family. So what I mean with that is basically, always try to find momentum. Momentum will not be 100% of the time. It's okay to step back, but it's keep productive. Keep and there's so many aspects of life. You have your physical. Take care of your physical. Take care of your family. Take care of your wealth. Take care of your health. Take care of so many aspects of relationships. So it's not only about education, working. Just try to find balance in the different aspects of your life. Always move forward. That's very important, right? It's okay. Like what I tell everybody, right? Like you have all these aspects of life that you want to do. Uh, just move forward, right? On some steps of your life, you're going to be crawling like a baby. It's okay. That baby's walking and moving forward. And then some things you're going to be running 100 miles an hour and you're going to be unstoppable. But just try to understand that you always have to move forward in every aspect. And it's okay to crawl on some certain things as long as you move forward. Be coachable. I'm very coachable. I like feedback. I take criticism very well, and I love feedback. That's what makes you better. The true criticism is what makes you better, not when somebody tells you, "Yeah, you did a great presentation." It's when somebody tells you, "Hey, you didn't look at the camera. Your shoulders, you were like not standing up. You didn't have enough confidence." So it's the true criticism that that shows how much somebody really cares of your success, and take it well, and be coachable. The greatest superstars in sports are all coachable, right? If they're not coachable, they're not great, and they follow the systems, right? Follow the systems, be coachable, and you'll be the greatest. Create, which leads to the next one. Create systems. If you create systems, anything can be duplicated. The greatest companies, most of the greatest companies, they'll have franchises, and then they'll be able to get franchisees. But when you buy a McDonald's or any of these franchises, what are you buying? You're buying the systems. You're buying their systems. You're buying, hey, how do you make a burger? Like, how do you make a burger? You know how to they make it anywhere, at any restaurant, the same way, right? So you create those systems which allow growth, which allow that momentum, that when you're a part of a company that you can sit down and relax because you know your team's following that, following your processes. Always be on time. It's better to be on time than late, right? We all know that. Um, that was a personal thing that I was always late to class, like always late to class. Especially when the classes were like at 7:30 or 8 in the morning. But um, just be on time. It's very important. There's no stupid question. A lot of the times, that's one of the things that I tell my employees. If you have a question, you ask. There's no stupid question, because that stupid question can save trouble, right? And if you're scared to ask the question, you can ask in privacy. Just ask. That's how you're going to learn. Believe it or not, education, it's kind of ironic if you really think about it. Like when you go to school and you're in class, it's the only thing that you pay so much money and you want it to be over quick. You can't wait for that class to be over, and it's really ironic. Like it's the one thing that you pay, and you just want to get over it with it. So no stupid question. Be a team player. It's very important to be part of a team. That's the only way. There's only so much things you can do by yourself, but after a certain period, you're going to need to have a team, right? As I mentioned before, understand the different personalities. The next thing, this was the first thing that my mentor taught me, was don't get involved in any corporate gossip. Like I could, like I was a tech, I was an intern at the company that initially hired me, and I will go to the clients and they can say, "Hey, did you know about this?" I'm like, "I don't. I'm just here to do my job. I don't need to know anything about that. No, don't get involved in that, because that's a no-no, especially when you deal with IT. Because as you grow in the career, you'll have you'll use basically you have obviously you have to be a professional and ethical, but that doesn't prevent from having access to data, right? So you don't want them thinking that you know information because you were looking at their data, but now you know because it was a gossip. So the less you know, there was a saying in Colombia years ago, and I'm not from Colombia, I'm from Ecuador, that the less you know, the more you live. In a way of gossip, because if you were like, let's pretend I was in the mafia or something, and I told you, "Hey, I'm in," now you know I'm in the mafia. Now you're a liability. So that was a saying like years ago, and I always remember that. So that's a good piece of advice. Find mentors. You should have a mentor for anything. Um, I'm smart enough. I understand life, but I'm always finding mentors. Today, I met this girl on LinkedIn. She sent me a meeting request. She contacted me completely cold message. I don't know her. We connected. Ironically, she knows my nephew, and that we connected even more. And now she's like, I'm starting this, her energy is just like so much, like so high that I'm like, all right, let's see if I learn something from you. So she's going to be my coach for 90 days. So mentorship's very important. Find mentors. And you can have different mentors. There's mentors, obviously, you have people that are great health mentors. You got, financial coaches. You have different things, right? The other thing is, if you want to be successful in business, there's three components, right? Your personal, which means your education. I have a master's degree, I have my company, I have this, that, right? So that's great. It looks good on a resume. Professional, I have basically a job, I have, whatever it is. But the third piece of or the third aspect that a lot of that we don't realize is the community, right? So try to get involved in community, and you can, a lot of bigger companies have community departments that or community outreach departments that can help you, like FAU, right? That you can get involved in chamber of commerces, or there's Rotary clubs. I'm part of the Rotary Club of downtown Boca Raton. For those that don't know, Rotary, it's basically service above self. We help the community. So the goal of Rotary is to be able to provide clean water to all communities around the world and to eliminate polio, along so many other different things. So that's very important that you do. Just be grateful. There's nothing better than, than helping and giving back. So if you get into that habit, giving back every time, for example, I go to church and I give back whatever it is, it could be $1, $50, whatever it is, that next week is just magic. I don't know what it is, but it's great, right? So just try to give back. Audiobooks, a lot of, I don't have the time to actually sit down and read, and I get so distracted every time I'm doing something because I'm always thinking. My mind is just going. So just do audiobooks. There's obviously Amazon has Audible. It's great. Just buy some books. The greatest, some of the most millionaire people in the world, they read a book a week, right? So if they're doing it and they're so good at it, then why not, right? The next thing which you'll notice on my presentation is technical vocabulary against layman terms, right? And you'll hear me saying that's why I'm treating you like you're a small business owner that I deal with every day, and I do the presentation. I'm not treating you as the students that know all these technicalities. And the reason why I decided to do that is because that way, that's the real world, right? The small business owner don't care about a switch and a gigabit and, the wireless and the encryption and how many levels, and like I don't even care anymore about that stuff, right? um, do we need to know? Yes, that my techs are very good at that stuff. um, I need to know, they just care that the data is safe. That's what they care, right? So when you're talking to people, uh, try to have them understand in layman terms. Okay, so that's very important. Documentation is key, and that's something that you have to. It has to come from school, really. You have to have that habit because it's a really difficult habit to learn. So documentation is key, right? And it's kind of like the recipe, right? How do you do the recipe? Oh yeah, you just like a chocolate cake. All you have to do is add chocolate. Okay, what kind of chocolate? What kind of milk? Is it fat-free milk? Is it almond milk? Is it heavy cream milk? So how much? Is it a cup? Is it 2 spoons? Right? Do I put the milk first or do I put the chocolate first? Do I warm it up? Do I not warm it up? So make sure you're creating documentation. There's a book called The Checklist Manifesto. It was written by a surgeon, and that surgeon goes into different fields. One of them is IT, another one's construction, and he goes to the top-notch companies to figure it out their success. and it's all about documentation. I don't recall the exact number, but let's just pretend a number that at any particular moment, a healthcare professional, when he is analyzing what you have, he can prescribe you over 100,000 prescriptions, right? So by doing the checklist, it allows them to be able to know or or kind of like analyze you better to be able to prescribe you a better drug, right? But it's just crazy, right? Like um, it's right here, the checklist manifesto. I don't think I have the pointer, but
Yeah,
the
you got it.
checklist
I can see it.
manifesto.
Yeah.
All right, the checklist manifesto. Always protect yourself with email communications. That's huge. Um, uh, uh, there's times that I'm like, something happens 3 years after, and they said to me, "Hey, do you this conversation never happened? We never signed that, or you never said that to me." And it can be something really, really like insignificant, but you have no clue. And it can be sometimes it just can be just for the ego purpose of saying, "Yeah, I did say that to you," or it can be something very important, like lawsuit preventive important, right? So typically, what I do is I'll have a conversation, and after that conversation, I'll just send you a quick summary. Here's the summary of what we discuss. So that's very important because it will save you in the long run so many times. Same thing, know your strengths and weaknesses. Remember that I can't be on time, that I hate not on time on the early classes, I mean, right? I'm just not a morning person, right? But my mind just activates at night. So I know that. My team knows that. So I start working at 9:30, but I can go all the way till 3 in the morning, no problem, and very effective. So I put the tasks that I have to do, and I align them. I align them perfectly by my productivity that I know works best. So when I'm able to concentrate at night, I just can go. Like I don't know what it is, but around 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm active. Simple as that. But when I have a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning, if I can have like an alarm service that can call me 3 times, that would be the best. Right? I just hate it. Like I just it's but I understand my strengths and weaknesses, right? And try to get the best from him. There's always time for everything. Everybody says, "Oh, there's no time. There's no time. I'm so busy." And there's always time. Just go back to what I said. Always move forward. It's okay. There's no time. Just read a page every day. Do 5 push-ups if you cannot do more. Just baby steps. It's okay, but there's always time for everything. Build a network. I wish somebody would have told me this when I went to FAU. Build your network. Like it's sad but true. I wish I could still be connected to my professors. I don't even recall my professors. Um, a lot of my friends, they were international students and they all left. I don't have them on Facebook. I don't have them on LinkedIn. So make sure that you have that. Make sure you make the connections. Make sure you make the connections. If and you have so many different networks nowadays, so many ways that you can connect. So just keep those connections. That's very important because you don't know if you're gonna need them in the future, right? And don't think like, and it's a good bad example. Like I'll tell everybody what I do. Like I'll go to the gas station aisle, and actually this is actually true. We went to a gas station. I went to Texas because at some point I worked for a company that had operations in Texas, and we went in and we told the gas station, yeah, yeah, we do IT. This is what we do. And he was just a cashier as far as we knew. And then he's like, "Oh, great, because I have another 7 gas stations, and we've been looking. We have these problems with the PCI compliance on the credit card machines. So that's something you can help, right?" Long story short, it's basically you never know, right? So talk to everybody and tell them what you do. Everybody needs to know what you do. Always be networking. Always be selling yourself. You never know. Build that network. So that's very important. The power of a handwritten note. Um, it'll be funny if you can just put on the chat if somebody recalls when was the last time that somebody got a handwritten note by somebody. Um, but it doesn't. It barely happens nowadays, right? So that's powerful. You go to you outside of birthday cards, outside birthday cards. But I wonder what's August 24th. Is that the birthday?
Oh, maybe that was one the last time they read a handwritten note.
Nice. But the story is like if you go even if you go to a job like I'll give you a perfect example. I went out a couple of weeks ago. Somebody it's a 200 people employees 200 employee office and they're looking to replace their IT. All right, so I follow up and the guy's like, I'm gonna go into surgery next week, Eric. Let's touch base in a couple of weeks. I send him a handwritten note. Good luck with your surgery. By the time you get this, you'll probably be back at the office. Um, let's set up. The IT aside, who cares about that? I just hope everything goes well. All right, it's just a quick note. And he calls me the second he saw it. He came back. He's like, Eric, what a difference! Like, thank you. If we
Mm,
work or not, thank you.
mm,
So, what does that tell you? That it makes a difference, right? So, take advantage of that. And on anything, like if you go to an interview, send whoever interviewed just a note. Thank you so much for the interview. I'm here. They'll remember. You'll make a difference. Always innovate and adapt. Always be innovative. Always be learning. Don't think it's the only method. Don't think that if you go to a company and they have a 200-step checklist on how to configure a firewall, that there might not be a better way, that they're doing something wrong, or that you can come up with a better process or a better technology. So always be adapting, right? I'll give you a perfect example. I mentioned that my brother-in-law, mentor, he's like a dad to me. I love him to death. He works with me. His company never innovate. He has a telephone billing software company that builds hundred thousands of records of calls, but he used to have 100 clients. Now he has three, right? Innovation. They never innovated. They never adapted to VoIP technology systems. They never adapted PCI compliance or credit card processing through webs or APIs or you name it. So now he has three clients, right? So that shows you how important that is. I've heard about bringing a blank paper to an interview, writing a note. Yeah, that works. That's a strategy that you can use. Why not? Um, so that brings now to the internship. We really don't have an internship. We've done internships before, but I decided with Jonathan that we'll put something together because same thing, giving back, right? Like if I can help one student or two students, and I can make a difference, great. That's what's all about. So we'll develop it, and then Jonathan, I'll let you know once that's ready, so they can email jobs@simplify.com. I'm very personal, like relatable. So if they can add, if they want to email me too, that's fine.
that's
I
great.
don't want
We
them to
appreciate
think, oh
that.
yeah,
Yep,
it's just a mailbox and they're not going to pay attention. So, all right. So next, all right. So I'm going to put a video, right? And this is the video that I introduce. So now we go, just like I'm going to pretend that. How do I do this? This video. You know what? I'm going to put this video in another screen so that way I don't lose it. That's what I'll do. Sorry, that's just me
that's
talking,
okay.
talking out loud.
Well, if you want, Eric, just just the sake of time, since I know we're getting close, if you wanted to open anything up for Q&A.
How much time do I have?
So we usually finish at 6:15.
Okay,
So
so like 20 minutes.
yeah,
Or
so just so you have an idea and just to give
all right.
everybody
So
enough time to
so what I'll do is
answer
basically
questions.
I'll skip the video, and then I'll just go directly. Uh, I'll just continue the presentation, but I'll do it real quick on just how I do the technical into plain English. So that's what I'll do.
Awesome.
All right. All right. So the one thing I do is basically in this particular slide is any. I kind of like just say anybody can do IT, right? But for me, oh yeah, it's great, to have the machines 24/7 updated, and it's great that parts are replaced, and that companies have a state of the art ticketing system, which is to manage what comes in and out. So I kind of like throw everybody under the bus. that's that's the reality of it, of all my other IT companies. And then I just say, hey, for us, that's just permissions to play, right? It's basically, these are basic things that we don't, as a company, as an IT company, we don't say, oh my God, this is the perfect example of what we do. This is kind of like basic stuff that any IT company should do. Right, so this is kind of like when I'm doing the presentation, what I tell the customer, and they're like, and at that point, I've done some research analysis, so I know what kind of processes they have, and I know how they manage tickets and how they manage requests. And typically, it's Susie, which is the office manager, that gets this request and via posted or sticky notes, and they're piled up in their desk. Right, so that's kind of how I started the presentation. This goes back to the perfect example of what I mean with talking in plain terms. Yes, it's great that you have 24/7 patches. What I'll do basically is I'll start this example with a car. Everybody has a car. Everybody understands a car. So what I'll say, it's Susie, picture that it's a perfect it's a Friday afternoon. It was the worst day ever, right? You went to work, you had to fire a couple of people, you had a terrible day, you have a headache. Now it's 5 o'clock and you just want to get out of there, you want to go home, right? So you get on your car, and the second you turn on your car, the car's not starting, and you're like, great, freaking car, right? So you start once, twice, three times, it turns on, great, right? So you put on reverse. The second you put on reverse, you start, you put on drive, you started driving, and then all of a sudden the first, rain of the season comes back, and you turn the windshield wipers, and now it's all buggy and stuff. You can't see. There's no water. You're like, oh my God, everything's going wrong. Then all of a sudden you hit a pothole. Now the steering is like all shaking, and you can't really go. You can't do anything right. Everything's going wrong. My God. Then all of a sudden the empty of the fuel is coming up, and you're like, I'll just make it home. Right when you're going to go home, you open the garage. When you open the garage, the check engine light comes in. You're like, my God, what else can go wrong? You park the car, you walk in. The second you walk in, your significant other has cooked this beautiful, delicious meal. You can smell it from the garage. And he or she is waiting with a special drink that you like, that margarita with some extra shots of tequila. And it's great. You're enjoying a great movie. And right when you're about to go to bed, it's fair to say that the last thing in the world you're going to be thinking is that car in the garage, right? Out of all the times, everybody's like, yeah, I'm not going to think of that car, right? Right. So then picture this. Then a NASCAR crew comes in, and that NASCAR crew is going to clean the car, fill the air on the tires, wax it for you, check the check engine light, put the water on the fluid with the soap, make it perfect for you, clean it, so that when Monday morning comes by, that car is ready to take you safe to work, right? So we do the same, but obviously we don't do cars, right? We're not NASCAR. We're IT company. So we do the same, but we do that for your computers and your servers. We make sure that you don't have any spam, that your systems are updated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So when I'm talking to a small business owner, they're going to relate to that car 100 times because they understand it, because they use it every single day. They don't understand technology. All they really care is that they turn their computer and it works. They don't care if there's updates, if the hard drive's bad, if they're spamming their systems. They don't care. So that's a perfect example on how to relate technology to English. Then I talk about one of the things that are that some people don't think about, but as an IT company, you have to do a lot of vendor management. The vendor management is the line of business applications such as QuickBooks or a specific, like if you're a towing company, you use a specific towing software, et cetera, et cetera. The copier machines, your website provider, your telephone systems, your security cameras, your internet providers. Those are all things that um, IT companies do. So basically, I tell them that we're going to save them time so they don't have to spend time with those companies, that we're going to handle that for them. Then we talk about the dark web monitoring. Basically, this is kind of like the dark web. We monitor it and make sure that if there's any potential passwords or anything compromises related to their domain meaning, like fau.edu or simplify.com, that we're able to tell them. Everything's on the dark web for sale, right? You can, there's some, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was on HBO. It was pretty cool. It's like a scary movie about the dark web. If I remember the name, I'll let you know. But it's a pretty good movie. You should watch it. But anyways, we've kind of like, this is actually to raise awareness and kind of like to put some scare on the client, right? Which they should be scared. Then I go into the internet culture, and this leads to firewalls. This leads to security protection, and I'll ask him, out of all these websites, what what do you relate, right? And a lot of people, oh, those are awesome, or whatever they say, right? So monster.com, and then pornography sites, et cetera, et cetera. So then I basically tell them the two things that are very important. We're going to build an internet culture, meaning that we'll block pornography, we'll block all these things that are not needed. And then the questions always comes up, but marketing needs social media, or HR needs Monster. And then we'll tell them that's okay. Social, you don't want to pay the receptionist to go on social media all day long or browse for a job while you're paying them, so they'll get blocked, but your HR department will be able to see those sites. So we talk about that content filtering. So I never mention anything technical, but by doing this, they completely understand what I'm talking about. And the other thing, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I'll tell them it's about the bandwidth conservation. By doing this, we're also helping the people that are really trying to do their job, and they totally understand that, right? There, it's relatable again, right?
Cool. So just for the sake of time, Eric, just to give everybody some time to ask you some
Sure.
questions. Is it okay if we opened up now for some Q&A? Was there anything
Yeah,
else?
because we have like 10 minutes. Yeah, talk about backups, and I can share the presentation with you guys. That's not a problem. So we talk about backups and their processes. Obviously, it's a little bit, it's all good stuff. But yeah, let's go
Awesome.
over the questions. Let
Yeah,
me
so
just.
if you have any questions, you can feel free, you can type it in the chat, or if you want to pop open your mic for a minute, or your video and ask Eric a question, feel free and do so. So I know we had one. What kind of internships are you looking to make? So I don't.
Um, to be determined, but yeah, I think the most important questions usually is it paid or not paid. So it most likely will be paid. So if I'm available to mentor, sure, yes, I can. I'm always available. If if I have some time, yes, I can always give you some time. If you want to meet for coffee, I'll meet for coffee, whatever it is. So I'll try to make myself available. How long did it take for you to start your own business? You can start your own business right now. It's not that difficult. I read management books. I read leadership books. It typically are business and personal development books. So security wise, typically this is the model. Uh, we help, we protect the data. That's what I really care. Uh, and typically that includes the anything the data touches, right? And that's firewall, your wireless, your email, your web, your physical protection of the encryption, your mobile devices, mobile device management, the servers, and the endpoints, and the employees. Employees are the weakest link, so you have to have good security awareness training programs. So we provide all the security for the companies.
I have a question. So, You said how you were part of like four different companies. How did you kind of get a part of those? Like, were you part of like, the building and planning phase, or like, did you kind of join a board and while it was like already under kind of development?
The Nativus, it's basically my best friend.
Hmm.
Um, he has that mentality as well.
Hmm.
The My approach has been always find somebody that's hungry and that can help do the job, right?
Hmm.
Like I am the principal here at Simplitfy.
Hmm.
I am not the principal at those companies.
Yeah.
So what I try to do is find somebody that can be the principal that can lead that on the day-to-day basis, right? So my
Uh-huh.
friend Pedro leads the first class coins. My friend Rafael leads the nativos.
Hmm.
So that has been like the ability to do so. And and as you are able to bring things to the table, and it doesn't have to be some people like, for example, we have one of the business partners that he can bring the money to the table,
Hmm.
right? It's great, so he can become a partner, right?
Hmm.
I bring um, the systems and the analytics of how to connect things and the brains on how to make sense of something, right?
Hmm.
I'm the analytical brains. They're like, oh, let's go get this. I'm like, what happens if we get this? Are we going to get a lawsuit? What do we need? Do we need a permit? What are the consequences? How much is it going to cost? When are we going to get the return on investment? I bring like 300 questions right away. All they really care is like, let's go get it.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I can read out some of the other questions. Raymond says,
sure.
what kind of programs do you use at your company?
We're a small company, we're 10 of us, and we spend probably like $25,000 a year in software. So we have cloud accounting, we have a lot of integration of software so the data can go between one and the other.
Hmm.
We have marketing automation systems. Uh, the whole the whole idea of the software that you use is just make sure that they talk to each other
Hmm.
and that the data can flow from one to the other, and that's the goal, right? So
Hmm.
IT companies typically have the platforms built in so they can all talk to each other and integrate with each other.
Hmm. Okay. Um, Will says, how does your company handle recently discovered vulnerabilities? Like, so I'm assuming like if there's an attack or anything like that, what's kind of like, the this process there?
It's the tools. We are the tools. It's basically innovation. Make sure that you're always innovating, finding the right vendors to work with. That's as simple as that. We do have in-house technology, but at the end of the day, it's we get trained to for use the right tools. If you pick
Hmm.
the right tools and they talk to each other and they're and you find the right vendors, you're good. They have vendors that we have vendors that um, check locks, lock monitoring. We have vendors to do backups, business continuity. We have vendors to do endpoint detection, response. We have endpoints. We have encryption mechanisms. So we have different vendors, and the whole key is making sure that you're picking the right technology. That's what's all about.
Hmm. Okay. And then, so Raymond just says, when you interview someone, what kind of qualities do you look for in them? Like what attributes? Maybe are they hardworking, they learn fast, kind of things like that.
Uh, I like people that are good with communications, that are coachable, that that are honest, right? Or and that you can come like I'll give you the perfect example. When I got my first interview, I had no clue what Active Directory was. I have no clue, no clue. And they will ask me. And I went to an interview, and they're like, and I'm guessing all the time, right? Like
Mhm.
they had this whole sheet, and I was just guessing, and I'm like, I feel so stupid. My second interview, I go in and say, I don't know anything, or I might know everything. I
Mhm.
don't care. All I want is an opportunity. You give me an opportunity, I'll learn it. I'll do it on my time. I'll whatever it is. And they're like, "You really want this?" I'm like, "Yep." All right, you're hired.
Mhm.
So to me, it's just how much you want it, how much you're willing to give, um, and yes, that you have a good sense. I don't know if I mentioned. I think I forgot, but it's very important that you understand or you have a path of what you want to accomplish. Because when you have IT, you have IT for small medium businesses, and you have IT for enterprise, which are big corporations. it's a completely different ball game, completely different game
Mhm.
altogether. The technologies that are used are completely different. The budgets are completely different. Um, the decision makers are completely different.
Mhm.
So that's something that you have to understand, right? Most people that go into IT and they work for big companies such as Dell, Microsoft, and are completely trained in a different way than people that are geared towards small medium businesses. So that's
Mhm.
something that, and they're both okay. They're both really good careers. You just have to make sure that you understand kind of like where you want to go, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. I think I had one question personally. Kind of if you could like go back, go back to school, is there anything like in specific you'd pay more attention to, like any specific class or specific like a program that you might have learned about?
I think it's very important that you uh, accounting was very good. I hated it.
Mhm.
Understanding what the basics of accounting, it's very important
Mhm.
because you'll in IT you'll learn a lot of auditing and a lot of the stuff. So that helps a lot
Mhm.
under making good sense of that. I don't really think there was like I know FAU when I took that they have a sales executive certificate.
Mhm.
Uh, I think I would have done a lot more of that.
Mhm.
And back, I don't know how FAU does now, but I will just start trying to get certifications in the technical in the technical room while I
Yeah.
was going to school. Like I will
Uh-huh.
get whatever it is that you like. If you like Microsoft or whatever it is, just or CompTIA, just get the certifications
Yeah.
because you'll learn. Um, and don't be like a lot of companies are worried about. Oh yeah, the certificate. It's just learn it. Don't I wouldn't be like too worried at the beginning of oh I need that certificate. Oh I need to just learn it.
Mhm.
Don't just do it for the learning. Don't do it for the certificate.
Mhm.
Obviously it's important. Don't get me wrong, right? Um, but just learn.
Mhm.
Just your confidence is going to go up, and you'll probably nail the job interview because you know just
Yeah.
learn. That's all. That's all. Don't be too much worry about every single detail on it.
Hmm. Yeah, no, and that's kind of like I definitely would take that back because every internship, every experience that any of you guys go through, that's that's your opportunity to learn. Like right now, I kind of like to use internships as kind of like a trial run. If it's at a completely different job that maybe you didn't think you'd be at, use the internship as a trial run. Maybe you don't know if you really hate sales or not. I know a lot of people look at sales kind of like negatively, but when you're gonna go down that route, if you really learn about sales, it's actually really interesting. There's a lot of different things that you wouldn't think about when you just hear that phrase. But yeah, definitely internships are a way to really get that experience and learn.
And there's a book called Question Based Selling, right?
Hmm.
And it's a specific method of asking the right questions all the time, and you can get into the habit of like, oh, tell me more, and,
Yeah.
and elaborate, and what you do next, and what happens after that, and what kind of problems are you having? Because a lot our minds are set or are designed to go into solution. So you jump into the solution. Hey, so what do I need to be able to connect into like a
Hmm.
wireless router, right? Like you just jump on
Yeah.
don't jump. Why do you need that? What are you trying to accomplish? How many devices? Is it for your home? Is it for your office? Do you need
Hmm.
multiple of them? Do you have a big house? Do you have a big office? Is it multiple floors, etc.? Are you in what kind of field are you in? Oh, you're in the medical field, so you need compliance. Is compliance important?
Hmm.
Etc. Etc. How many records do you have? How do you do this? How do you like? And all it was is that they gave me the ability to know that they needed a wireless,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. No.
So asking the right questions are it makes you like credibility goes through the roof when you ask the right question.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's awesome.
For sure.
So I think for the sake of time, we're getting close to the end. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for
Sure.
now. So let me go ahead and stop that.